Hello there. I had a couple of people ask me if I could talk about my recent fasting experience on here, just to kind of lay it out for people. So I thought I'd do that because it could be helpful to a few people. I have been fasting on and off for a couple of years now. Done kind of everything, like 3-day fasts, 24-hour, 4-day, you know. The longest one I've ever done is 15 days, and that was maybe 3 years ago. I've got a regular pattern of eating in like one meal a day fits for me. I eat at lunch. I dropped breakfast a long time ago, more than 10 years ago. And because of having children, got into the habit of eating dinner quite early, or tea, whichever country or culture you're in. The evening meal would be, 5 to 6 o'clock, quite early, which works really well for the body because there's a lot of stuff that says whether the body's really suited to eating solid food or not, like as in swallowing solid food. You can put it in your mouth solid, but you're meant to chew it so much that it doesn't really go down solid at all. Whether you're going to accept that or not, once the sun goes down, you really shouldn't be dealing with solid food. It just makes the body work harder. You can do it, you can do anything, but it's harder work. So big meal at lunch works well, works very poorly in our society because people are out working, they're not home for lunch. A lot of Mediterranean and Eastern European cultures that I know of, they still work pretty close to home, and whenever they can, they go home for lunch and they have a big meal and they have an hour or two off and then they go back to it again, especially people that work for themselves near where they live. A lot of African stuff's the same. I imagine Asian culture is very similar. The main meal is the midday meal. That's when you should be doing most of your eating. And that works the best for me. So that's what I tend to do. Maybe for the last 2 years or more, I've been keeping that eating window fairly tight for 4 hours, 5 hours max. Start eating at 10, stop eating at 2, and the tightest is an hour. So it's basically 23 hours of fasting, just water only, maybe tea, but I don't drink a lot of tea really. And then an hour to eat. And that also, it comes and goes. Sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't, but that's my rhythm. So before Christmas, leading up to Christmas Day, is just how it happened. I had no planning around it at all. I did a 16-day water fast, and I just stopped eating on whatever day that was, the 10th or the 11th or whenever in December. That was just my last meal, and I went, I'd been trying to string more than 48 hours together on a fast for what felt like about 18 months, and it just wouldn't work for whatever reason. It didn't want to work, and I'm a bit past pushing the issue. Like, I know I can do it. I knew it's capable and possible, so it was kind of just there, but I wasn't jamming myself about it. And so it just happened that I went, that'll do. We just won't eat tomorrow and see what happens. And I was planning on maybe 4 or 5 days is what I had on the timer, and then it just kept going, and went out to 16 days water only. And then I broke fast on Christmas for Christmas lunch, basically. Sorry, there's a bit of wind going on, but I'll try and turn out of the wind a bit. So I had Christmas lunch with the family, and then I had 48 hours off, so I didn't eat for 2 days, and then had another lunch. Had a bit more time off again. I can't even think the days running into each other now. I think that brings us up to now. So I had lunch today, and I've just hit the timer again, and we'll see whether it's 2 days, 3 days, however long. Because that's where it feels like we're at the moment. For me, every 48 hours is like any any closer than that just feels like too much food to me at the moment. It's not really doing it for me. So I'll keep you posted with how that goes. But for the 16-day one, when I did the 15-day fast, it was very traditional, in the sense that there are these patterns, like the first 2 to 3 days are the hardest. I'd done cleanses and fasts before that, big cleanses, like month-long cleanses where all I was having was apple juice and tonics and stuff, never just water. So I'd done some big stuff before, but not 15 days, just water. It was very, very traditional, in the sense that 2 to 3 days was a nightmare, absolute nightmare. And then up to maybe day 7 or day 8, it got better. I had a huge energy boost at day 3 or 4 on the 15-day fast. And then a bit of a slump around 8 or 9, and then hit day 10, and I stopped thinking about food. I could be around it, I could smell it, it just wasn't a drama. I wasn't interested in it. And I kind of started eating at day 15 just to see what would happen, really, because I was so apathetic about food. Food was great, the smells were wonderful, but I had no interest in eating or not eating, really. Tons of energy. Got to the point where I wasn't really drinking much water. There's a thing with that where if you're not, as long as you're like bathing, if you're getting your skin in water, your body's absorbing a lot of moisture that way. And I'm in a fairly high humidity climate. So if you're not eating food, you don't really need to be putting water down your throat at all. It's mostly to clean and to hydrate the food and the food processing areas. But your body gets hydration in other ways as well. So all that was fairly traditional. This one was very different. Apart from the fact that I'd been hatching it for months and months and months. I'd been wanting to and trying to, but it just wouldn't work, and I knew better than to force it, basically. And so I didn't ever not feel like food, funnily enough. I wasn't interested in eating. I was happy to not eat. It wasn't like I was having cravings or anything. But I could have eaten at any time from day 1 to day 16. I wasn't hungry. I just didn't feel hungry at all. But I could have put food in my mouth. It wasn't like I was disinterested in the smells or what the flavours would have been, which wasn't what happened on the first one. So that was interesting to me. Also, I didn't really get a slump at all. I would get interesting kind of daily slumps between maybe 12 and 2. Somewhere in there I'd maybe get hit for half an hour or an hour where I'd get thumped. I'd have to lie down for a bit, or I could push through it, but if I didn't have to, I wouldn't. But again, I don't know if that was the lack of food or not, because 2 or 3 months ago I was getting that, where between 12 and 3 I just get energetically slammed and I would literally have to lie down, and that would be me eating lunch, me eating every single day, every 24 hours, eating a big meal. So was that the food or not? I don't know. The first fast I did with salt. So I was putting a little bit of bicarb and a little bit of sea salt, Himalayan, whatever your thing is, in the water. Stops with you could get headaches, especially if you've got a lot of fat to burn off, like body fat. As you're breaking apart the body fat, you kick off a lot of salt, and so you're pushing out a lot of salt off your body in sweat and urine and whatever, that you're not really putting back in again, and your body gets a bit wrong-footed by it. And there are people who swear the other way about that. They say salt desiccates you, salt kills you. Yeah, you've got salt in your body, but it's organic. There's not a lot of organic salt here. Actually, you make it yourself. You can't really ingest it that much. It's pretty low percentages in food and water, and you shouldn't be doing that at all. So there's 2 different schools of thought around that. A couple of years ago when I did the 15-day one, I was putting salt in the water. This time I didn't. I just did straight water, and distilled water is what I'm using. So there are people out there that think that's terrible as well, and you need to be remineralising your distilled water or it'll strip you out. Hasn't happened yet. Keep you posted on that one. But yeah, so my 16-day water fast was straight distilled water, no salt, no headaches, no issues around any of that at all. So, I mean, that was interesting to me in and of itself. But I didn't stop working. I didn't stop being with the family. I didn't drop any duties that I would usually do. I was still out being physical in the garden, mowing lawns, going for walks, carrying stuff back from town, driving on outings, all the stuff. I didn't stop doing anything. I had more energy. And the longer I went, the more energy I had. And the more stable my energy levels were. They were still, because your energy levels spike around food. My energy levels were definitely still a bit spiky. Day 5, day 6, maybe even day 7. But after that, much more level and just constant energy. Less need for sleep. I was back to maybe 4 or 5 hours of sleep at night. I was just waking up ready to go at 3 in the morning or maybe even earlier, and just not going back to sleep. And not being tired through the day because of it, not needing a day's sleep, none of that stuff. So the longer I went, the more energy I had and the more capable I was, and absolutely the clearer that I was, the clearer my mental functionality, the clearer my emotional functionality. So for anyone who can kind of do 3 days and 4 days but has never done any longer, just give it a crack and see what happens, because you'll probably surprise yourself. You get to the point where you can tell, whether it's are you hungry, or is it actually the parasites in your body trying to make you eat? The worms are biting is a very literal statement. They'll give you brain fog and they'll make you want to eat. They'll make you think you're hungry, but I mean, I still had body fat on me. So I was like, I know I'm not hungry because my body's got fuel to burn. Like, I'm 100% in ketosis. I'm only burning fat, not sugar. There's no way my body can be hungry because I still have fuel on me and I'm still burning it. So that's got to be something else. That's not me. So you get pretty good at listening to what's happening and going, yeah, I'm feeling a bit average for 15 to 20 minutes. I don't think that's me though. I think that's something in me doing that. So it's a pretty interesting self-reflection time, the longer you can go. I'm not saying this is for everyone, and there's all sorts of caveats around fasting, water fasting, advice. I'm not giving any medical or health advice here. I'm just letting you know of my experience, and you have a crack at it all on your own. But doing it with someone, even someone who knows what you're doing, someone who's supportive, not just letting any old person know who's got to start pretending they're freaking out and wanting you to eat or wanting you to do something weird with your water, or just letting someone know who's supportive and having them kind of tap in with you daily, that can be very, very helpful. Very helpful. So consider that if you're looking to go a bit further. But it's interesting to me in the energetic climate that we're in at the moment, that with so much coming up to the surface to be seen before it leaves, so much reconditioning going on, so much uncovering going on, that the idea of not eating, not being interested in food, wanting to do an extended fast has been coming up in the collective as much as it has. So yeah, if you're being nudged in that direction, I would definitely recommend it, and just take it like a half a day at a time. Don't beat yourself up, give yourself leeway. Like, every hour that you go is a good hour. Once you get past kind of 24 hours to 36 hours, anywhere, wherever you want to put the marker in, but the marker's probably at around 20 hours. Every hour past 20 hours is worth more than the hour before. It compounds. So there's no such thing as I didn't go long enough. So if you're thinking about it, best of luck and enjoy. All right, much love.